Welcome back to our lessons on the Warlock, and there are two things that are important at this next stage. The first, of course, is starting to encounter the spirits, and the second is becoming sensitive to the flow of energy around you. Now, to become connected to the flow of energy requires you, of course, to use a couple of skills and tools which you will be working on at this stage and which you have not yet got. So we're going to talk about the encountering with the spirits, and when they do encounter you, very often they will leave small tokens of that meeting. One of the first things that I got when I encountered my first spirits, well back in the day, I was at the beach, and of course there were small tokens given which I now keep in my spirit box. Little reminders of the meetings, and because mine are nature spirits, they are very much nature based. One of the important things that I very first got is a shell that was prominently there. This, I don't know what kind of mollusk it is, some kind of bivalve, but it was a token to remind me of my meeting. Another thing that allows me to connect to the energy of a place where I have been that I'm no longer at is I have small collections of sand. This is sand from the Kalahari, from the desert, where I was for a while as well. Meeting up with our spirits and connecting with them, pieces of semi-petrified wood, and in some cases petrified wood, unique stones which I've found. There's a piece of tiger's eye, red tiger's eye, seed pods that remind me of those things, a piece of polished coconut shell which I polished up, a unique rock with some very, very tiny ammonites in it, an acorn. All of these things have meaning, have importance in varying ways. In my country, of course, the lucky bean, as we call them, is a very important mystical sort of seed used in the local magic. This one here is another such seed pod. They are all little tokens left behind for me to remind me that I've met them and where, and to connect to them. Here is some from the gold reef. That's gold-bearing quartz. Almost no gold in it, but that's not the point. But these things are kept behind. They are given as gifts, and I keep them to remind me of all of these moments. Another such thing, which I've put on a string, is a rather beautiful stone with some form of ancient plant embossed within it. And in case I encounter new such places, there's a jar with some stones from one of the places I was. Here's an empty jar. You can get little jars and keep these things quite easily, and they are reminders. They are bits to go back to reconnect your power to the land. And these gifts are always good to keep. There's the top of the acorn which came off, along with it, because occasionally when communing with the spirits I will want to burn a little incense, a bottle cap, and these make the most incredibly useful little devices to burn cone incense on, so you don't damage any surface. So I keep it in there along with my gifts of the spirit, which I can then use for all kinds of things. And this forms a simple way for me to remember places and events and the spirits when I encountered them, and am able to commune with them when I need to. It forms a tangible way of re-meeting with my specific spirits. And that's an important part of the journey, because at this point you now start to reach out to meet up with the energies of the spirits. And to do so, you need to do the two things already mentioned and a third. Now, this becomes a little bit more complicated because you need to find your element. Now, within the tradition I have, all people are all four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Because in our tradition, this symbol, which you are probably very, very familiar with, is a two-dimensional representation of a four-sided pyramid. And the four elements coalesce together to create the fifth element of spirit. It is not an element on its own, but the coalescence of all four, which is significant to the philosophy behind elemental magic and understanding how the spirits work within the world. But within it, everybody is different. Everybody manifests in a different way. And we believe that you will have your primary element, a secondary element, which in some ways is the equivalent of your subconscious, and then you have your two tertiary elements, which are your least strong connection, but they are there and they do affect you. So to put it in the way it was explained to me, the simplest method is, say somebody is really, really, really not aggressive at all. Their primary is non-aggressive, and even their secondary non-aggressive. If you push someone far enough, they will fight. So within everybody is the potential for all of the different elements to be aggressive, to be non-aggressive, to be active, to be passive, to be open, to be closed. All of these things are within them. It simply manifests in different ways, and it can, rarely does, but it can change through life. Once your personality is set, you tend to stay there, but major trauma can change you, absolutely. Life-changing events are called life-changing events because they change your life and your lifestyle. So the next step is to find your element, and there's a whole way of figuring it out, which I will go through in another video now, and finding your crystal, the thing that you will use in the future to store energy, to focus energy. Is used a lot, like a wand is used by witches, though we also use the staff or rod and your knife in the same way, but with other aspects as well. But the crystal is the focus for your power. It is the spiritual center of your talents, abilities, and your focus, and it's one of the items that as a warlock you must always have. But the one that is most suitable to you can only be found when you have learnt to touch on energy. And so that's the next set of steps to do. And it begins, of course, with your practice in meditation, your ability to develop the ability to still your senses, not just your mind, and to be open to feel the flow of energy. Now, the easiest way to do it is to know where there is a place where there is quite a lot of energy and going to said place so you learn to feel it. This might be in nature, it might not be. It depends which spirits are intending to talk to you. So in that respect, there are a couple of different ones to worry about, and we're going to start doing that in the next video. Thanks for joining me with the Warlock with Old Bones.